What is up, you off-topic motherfuckers? Welcome back to another deep dive episode of the Off Topic Podcast. Kelsey here with co-host or guest star or special guest, whatever you want to call it, Maddie, my wife, and Lexi. Hey guys, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. How has your last week been? Lexi, how's school? Babe, how's work?
Good. I enjoy my job. It's not stressful anymore.
Well, guys, if you haven't listened to part 1, go ahead and go back and listen to that. If it didn't blow your mind, part 2 just might do that. So sit back, relax, time to feed your crime junkie habit. But first, don't forget to follow the podcast on whatever platform you are listening in on. Hit the like button, share us out to everyone that you can. We're on the road to 100 followers on the podcast, so let's go, let's grow, support each other, join the community. We love and appreciate all of you. Now on to the rest of the episode. First and foremost, we're going to do a little snippet and talk about the part 1, just kind of what was on there, just in case you need a refresher. I believe my wife is going to read most of this stuff, and if she gets sick of it, then I'll take over or I'll chime in. So, whenever you are ready, my love.
So, a small recap is, on August 25th of 21, Cassidy Rainwater reported missing by a concerned family member. Police were told she'd been seen 6 weeks before in the company of 58-year-old James Phelps, who lived in a cabin on Moon Valley Road. Police went to residence to check on Cassidy, where Phelps told them Cassidy had been staying there while she got back on her feet, and said he had not seen her since July 25th when she'd left in the middle of the night and gotten into a car parked at the end of the driveway. Phelps said he believed that she was going out of town, but then in September, the FBI office in Kansas City was sent an anonymous cyber tip series of photographs, horrific images of Cassidy Rainwater's body chained in a cage, and other photos with graphic content of her dismembered and disemboweled corpse. These tips were pulled from the dark web and labeled Cassidy. FBI sent photos to Dallas County Sheriff's Office, returned to the cabin, confirmed it to be the same scene in the photos, and arrested James Phelps. On his phone, messages between him and his best friend and co-conspirator Tim Norton planning Cassidy's murder. Norton was a truck driver and happened to be on the road during Phelps' arrest. When Norton returned to town, they got him too. On September 20th, he was arrested while Phelps stayed quiet. Norton immediately started talking, confessing to what they did to Cassidy. He also explained that Phelps had her sleep on the cabin floor to be easily accessible, and how Norton held her legs while Phelps strangled her. They then took her outside and did what they did. Norton then explained carrying her pieces back inside and putting them in the bathtub. What was found on scene was absolutely crazy, and I'm shocked no one heard about this. That's the little recap we have. For you, we have so much to talk about this episode. So if you missed part 1, go listen and catch up, then resume part 2.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really shocked that nobody heard about this case. Especially here in Springfield.
Yeah. It's definitely pretty close. It's not too far. I mean, people heard about it, but I don't think they actually heard about how bad it was until recently.
Right.
Alright, so on to the part 2 of this thing now that we got caught back up. Locals were not pleased with the sheriff's department.
No, they weren't.
A local woman was interviewed and stated the way the case was handled was incredibly incompetent, which it was. She said the fake news that the sheriff posted had come from inside his department. It was his detectives that leaked everything to the public in the beginning.
Which the fake news was literally everything that happened, but just not as bad. And they put out like little snippets, they left things out, but it was literally what happened. But they were telling everybody it was fake news, it was rumors.
There are unconfirmed rumors. Keep in mind, all these so-called rumors have been proven true so far. On September 16th, when Phelps was arrested, he was said to be eating a sandwich with meat from not an animal body.
Which we talked about on the last podcast a little bit, but had to throw that in there because it was a unconfirmed rumor in quotes.
And as he was arrested, he laughed about how he had sold the ribs to an unsuspecting neighbor. So whoever that neighbor was,
part of the...
I think they found out they probably ate some human, but
oh, for sure.
That'd be a crazy way to find out that somebody fed you human.
Especially on ribs.
Yeah. I mean, how would you not know,
human
though?
rib?
But, like, how would you not know? Like, let's be so for real.
mean,
A
that's
human
fair.
rib
But
cannot...
Didn't you say they mixed it with...
I mean, they did mix it with, like, other kind of animal meat and stuff. But I don't see how you would do that on a rib.
Unless you kind of, like, grind it down or cut it down to make it look like animal ribs.
I don't know.
Like a rack of ribs, you know?
That's a little questionable to me. There were meat hooks found in the bathroom and more packages of meat in the freezer marked with other dates, which was left out in the initial report.
Which was not Cassidy.
It was not Cassidy. It was
different dates, different people.
It was different people mixed with animal. And the reason they aren't saying anything really about that is because they're having trouble identifying who the people are. Because the animal DNA is throwing off the human DNA. Crazy. And that the dark websites that the tip was pulled from were from the cannibalism sites Phelps was active on. A lot of talk about freezers in the yard and refrigerated trucks that were taken by authorities as evidence and somehow got lost and then suddenly ceased to exist.
There was
Apparently,
nothing.
Again, allegedly.
Yeah, there's nothing talked about it again. I literally saw that in 2 articles, and that was it. About the truck.
About the refrigerated truck and...
Then the police took them off and then just disappeared?
Yeah.
Something happened. Allegedly. I mean, we have no proof. Yeah, you gotta say allegedly.
I gotta move this over here so we can hear Lexi too, but...
Because none of this is real.
Yeah.
Like, there's no hardcore facts about any of this. Because, well, authorities aren't gonna admit to shit, so...
That is true.
Right, and...
All it is at that point is he said, she said, on if these refrigerator trucks actually existed.
Right, and the last people that actually saw them with people, like the trucks, were authorities, so...
And there were good cops in this, guys. I don't remember if we talked about this, but there were good cops that were trying to actually solve this case.
And
but
the
their
FBI.
families started getting threatened, and a whole lot of shit started happening to them when this whole cover-up started happening. Like, this is way bigger than just a couple of hillbilly Joes in the backwoods in Missouri.
Not mixed with just meat, like, what was it, animal meat?
And there were cases that I didn't put in the information you're reading, but there were cases throughout Dallas County and a few other counties around there that there was suspicious meat being sold at their marketplace. Let somebody feed me human.
Well, how you gonna know? Because look, give me how somebody know they weren't eating human ribs. Like, we're gonna go back to that. How you not?
But also, how can you make human, like, on the rib, on a bone, I guess?
Right, that too, and what you gonna cook it with? Like, you can't tell me that a human rib cooks for the same time that a baby back rib does. Like, I just...
Or maybe it does.
I mean, really, who
We
knows?
don't know.
Because I ain't never gonna try. Maybe in the zombie-apocalypse, I guess we find out, because you gotta do what you gotta do, player, but... Especially in the zombie-apocalypse, you gotta eat it somehow.
Would they be that willing to get... Because they would get sued. Like, one person find out that it's human meat mixed in with real meat.
But why else would they
There was
have
horse meat going
refrigerated
around
trucks?
for the longest time. Like, yeah.
But why else would they have refrigerated trucks? They gotta transport something somewhere that needs refrigerated.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons that somebody could need a refrigerated truck. I can come in there as the...
Or they're transporting...
They're
transporting the...
But the bodies. They could be transporting them girls.
Or, like... I don't know if they did all the chopping up at the house and wrapping up and putting them in packages.
They did, because there was meat in the freezer. They would hang them in the bathroom. That's why there was meat hooks in the bathroom.
Oh, so they did, like, cut up and everything at the house.
Yep.
Gutted them like pigs.
At the house.
At the house. Multiple
So,
women.
okay, never mind.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we gotta keep saying that because it's not all confirmed. And
But
they're still denying.
If you put all the evidence together, guys, you can make that allegedly
Coincidence or not.
Yeah. Anywho, authorities still deny any link with cannibalism. How you gonna deny any link with cannibalism when Cassidy Rainwater was in the freezer?
along with multiple other people.
Okay, but they didn't want to claim that. But they did want to say that her remains were found
because it was
in the freezer
that it was her.
Yes, packaged with the date. But we're not going to talk about cannibalism, so why was her meat packaged?
A burger.
Allegedly. That part's alleged, because there's no proof about that. Yeah. But I believe it. Jeffrey Dahmer was eating hearts. I mean, I don't put it past that he was not eating a human burger of some kind. But nobody wants to confirm or deny that, because they're trying to hide all the cannibalism in this world.
Mm-hmm. In this state.
And there's a whole website, right? You brought that up last time.
Oh, yeah. Whole website. Probably can't buy it from there anymore because this all blew up about 2 weeks ago.
Human-meat.com.
Oregon thought, but more rumors were leaked that there were more photos and video evidence found along with numerous partial remains on scene. In a second interview with Norton, he revealed that he and Phelps looked for their victims, plural, victims, at Walmart and online. Also that the young girls, ages 12 to 14, were of special interest to them. How these men still out on the street, number one, like, it's because...
Well, they're not on the street right now.
Well, they're not. But, I mean, prison. Like, at this point, like, how are they on the street still looking for 12, 14-year-olds?
They found multiple bones and remains scattered throughout multiple fields.
Yeah, you said that the last part, right?
Mm-hmm. And we'll say it more through this one, but, like, they found... But they couldn't, because of the... What am I trying to say? Because of the condition of the bones and the remains and how long it has been, they couldn't tell anything about him.
Important fact to remember is they did not just find Cassidy. Their only confirmed victim, she was allegedly staying with them at the time. James Phelps already knew Cassidy, but yet Dallas County Sheriff Scott Rye still states investigators have not located any evidence leading them to believe there are any other victims or suspects associated with Phelps and Norton at this time. But they found a whole freezer full of meat, and they didn't all have Cassidy's. Make this make sense. Like, they've already even stated this. They are just talking through their ass at this point.
Yes, they are.
Even after the second interview with Norton and his statements entered into court records, Dallas County Sheriff's Office still released Sheriff Scott Ray's statement. As of October 1st, 2024, they still stood by it.
And I haven't found any updates if they still stand by it here in 2025, but we are just now in 2025, and that was in October last year.
Yeah, that's only been 3 months. It hadn't even been 3 months yet. We touched on Cassidy's mom cases in part 1. Tracy's maiden name was Rainwater, initially reported missing by her boyfriend, Leonard Couch, who told police that she'd possibly gone looking for arrowheads. This took place about 30 miles away from where the cabin where Cassidy was found. While Cassidy's remains and bones were found scattered in the field next door to the cabin, her mother's bones were found a year later scattered in the field next to the one Cassidy's were discovered in. When Tracy went missing, police were very tight-lipped about her case as well. Anything found on Tracy's case of the conditions of the remains, it could be hard to determine the way that she died. No cause of death has been released. No arrests have been made. What happened to Tracy is still a mystery. After the remains were found, everything went quiet, except one odd update. A kind of defensive post, weirdly similar to the Dallas County post in Cassidy's case. This one stated, the Laclede County Sheriff says, last May, Tracy...
yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Bones were found scattered by animals in rising water near the river next to her boyfriend's home. Sheriff Wrinkle says anthropologists never found any trauma on the bones found. Now, how you not find any trauma?
Right.
Nothing? Right by her boyfriend's?
Right, and you haven't released anything about it. You haven't released any evidence, any kind of leads, but now you want to say they're scattered because of animals in rising water?
And nobody's going to talk about her mom's bones were found after?
No, her mom's bones, since in part 1, her mom went missing in 2007. They found her bones in 2008. But where the connection is that their bones were found in the same... Not like
spot, exactly.
But like same
an adjacent field.
Yeah,
just literally
like
right yonder.
Like,
yeah,
that's crazy. Like what?
And we don't want to put a connection to that. Okay. There has long been rumors that Tracy disappeared from the same property where her daughter was found. Sources say one of the men involved in the original search party for Tracy back in 2007, searching the field, specifically the one she was found in a year later, was a longtime friend or associate of Tracy's. We will refer to him as Jake. There was a lot released about Jake, but his name was never in the information, so that's why we're going to call him Jake.
Yeah, I literally looked up so much trying to find this man's name. His name is nowhere.
Who's that again?
It's just somebody who was in the search party looking for Tracy, Cassidy's mom.
Oh, Tracy, okay.
And he looked in the field where Tracy was found, but nobody found her during the search party.
Where she was found a year later. So that either means that this Jake guy was a part of this, and that's why he wanted
And he said, no, there's nothing over here.
Or it was scattered after the search party was done, because if you're smart, the guy who took Tracy is not going to dump the body while all these people are around her. He's at least going to go try to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after everybody goes, rescatters it, because why are you going to look in the same field twice if you already looked there and you're looking for remains?
And why isn't his name anywhere? Why is nothing about him anywhere?
Right, because there's more information. There's more stuff that we're going to talk about that's on the papers that I wrote down, but his name was literally nowhere.
Jake just happened to own the property, and who built the cabin where James Phelps lives in. Jake built the cabin in the 90s right on the outside lining of his property. It's never stated if this was intentional or not, but that's a sure way to confuse warrants or legal documents. Because it was right on the line, when they first went with the warrant, they had to go back and get another one because of the property line and where everything was at. And they got out of it, and who knows what the hell they hid whenever that happened.
For real.
At said outside line cabin/properties, there may have been clues to two well-known cold cases. Right near the road, there was a dirty, rusty pickup truck, which possibly, never confirmed, just coincidence, could be connected to the 1991 disappearance of Angela Hammond, a popular 20-year-old girl, 4 months pregnant when she was abducted from a payphone in Clinton, Missouri. On the phone with her boyfriend, she mentions a filthy, bearded old man in an older Ford truck. She said it was green and had an old fish decal on the back window. Then suddenly she screams and never heard from or seen again. That's what's crazy for me, is how easily somebody can just vanish. Like trace and nothing.
I used to go to Clinton almost every weekend.
That's crazy.
After her disappearance, a ransom note surfaced with cut-out letters with a confidential informant's number on them. Someone who was an informant from 91 on a big drug ring with a wife and a daughter in Clinton, Mo. His daughter's name was Angela, but not Angela Hammond.
So this case is she basically got mistaken for somebody else.
Her case, very well could have been mistaken identity. Back to the truck on the property. It was greenish tint, but not green, but was an older Ford, which an ex of Norton claimed once had a fish decal on the back window before the back window was smashed and replaced.
Coincidence.
Coincidence? I think not.
Whose cases might have got switched?
So, in 91, there was a big case involving a drug ring, and it was with an informant. And the informant had a wife and a kid. The kid's name was Angela, but her name wasn't Angela Hammond. So, they think that Angela Hammond, which is the one that got snatched at the payphone 4 months pregnant, was a case of a mistaken identity, thinking they were snatching the Angela of the informant.
Oh my goodness.
And they sent the ransom note trying to get whoever the informant was to not tell whatever it was.
When they sent the ransom note, the informant's daughter was with him, so he was like, they don't have Angela. So that's why they think that Angela Hammond got taken mistakenly.
Yeah.
Which, like, what?
Yeah.
What?
That's crazy.
Because then she still hasn't been seen or heard from for this day. So, like, they either offed this Angela thinking they were doing something, but then at some point they would have had to realize that they got the wrong Angela.
Right, and at that point, there's just, shit, my bad. Like, what are you gonna do after that?
Or, like, she's pregnant, so, like, you can't, like, eat her. I mean maybe let her have
allegedly, they say that it was probably James Phelps because he fits the description. But that's all allegedly, and the truck his property looked pretty close. But because the back windshield got busted and there was no longer a fish hook, they really
didn't cowl or nothing.
And how long it had sat, the color had started fading. There was really no telling.
Yeah,
if the truck was actually green or if it was a whatever.
If there's any visual people, I will put up in the video on our YouTube a picture of these said vehicles we're talking about, and I can actually show you, since you haven't seen it. That is the truck that was found on the property.
That's green.
Right. You can zoom into the door.
Half, the front half is kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the, like, what it's called? The bed of the truck?
Mm-hmm.
The whole side is green.
Yep. For sure.
These people went to jail, right?
Yes, they are all in prison right now, facing life with no parole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But
there's multiple friends, family, community that are inside of this whole shebang that are still out there walking freely.
And they're trying to get back for their buddies getting. I believe it. I bet they feel real stupid when they got the wrong girl, though.
For real. And that's why we tell everybody, we literally preach to everybody, watch your fucking surroundings. See where you are at. If you see some crazy shit popping off, you better go. If you see somebody following you, even if they're not following you, fucking go. You never know. Right, you never know. Like, Phelps and Norton literally picked their victims from Walmart and online.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Walmart, bro. You know how many times I go to Walmart by myself and I just walk in, grab some shit, walk out? Like, any of those times somebody could have snatched me up. I did not watch my surroundings very much whenever I first got with Maddie. I'm getting a little better. Not as much as she wants me to.
No, you know how many times I'd walk up down a random aisle and just grab her and she'd be like, what are you doing?
The bitch could have stabbed me and just took me out the stove.
Anyhow.
Crazy shit.
A second vehicle found on this property was a van, believed to be connected to one of Missouri's notorious cold cases, the Springfield 3. Occurred on June of 1992, 1 year after Angela. 19-year-old Susie Streeter, 18-year-old Stacy McCall, and Susie's mom, 47-year-old Cheryl Levitt, disappeared from Cheryl's home in Springfield. All three gone without a trace.
Springfield, Missouri. Here, yep.
No struggle, no clue to what could have happened. Money, phones, purses, keys, car, everything still there. One of the first clues to this case was received by a woman, claiming she saw a green van being driven by who she thought was Susie Streeter, of the early hours of the day they went missing. The search for the green van was huge. Police searched hundreds of vans. SPD even got a van identical and placed it in front of the sheriff's office so people knew what to look for. Van was never found. Still no trace or evidence of the three women. Crazy.
Yeah,
That's another one. How do three women just up and disappear? There's no nothing, no.
We're going to deep dive into that too. I've done a lot of research and I already have that episode planned, and we're going to get into that one because it's crazy. And especially how close to home that one is. That one's in our town.
It's literally like 10 minutes away from us.
Yeah. And there's so much to it that was hidden, and so much to it that is just like, really?
Is that the truth?
Yeah. And with the van, I'll put the picture in the video too, and I'll show you after because I didn't save it. But it was green, white stripe, green.
I thought it was like just a thick white stripe.
Well, in the middle of the white stripe is like one of those chrome pieces. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said white stripe.
Which very well could have still been the same one that lady thought she saw.
Because
in the midst of it, who's really paying that close of attention? Like, it's a green van. Like, I saw a green van. I'm not going to be very detailed. Oh, it was green, white, had
chrome
on
it.
it. You know, they're not going to remember every single detail. They're going to remember they saw green.
Yeah.
Now, this van on the property was rumored to be connected. It was not fully green, but was green and white, as we had just said.
Yeah, and
this van, unfortunately and mysteriously, blew up with a fire and homemade bombs that destroyed all of Cassidy's evidence. Now, isn't that kind of funny?
How, after they went into prison?
Yeah. So in the last episode, if you remember, we talked about how the property, it was like a second-degree arson or third-degree arson or something like that. And arson means intentional.
That was when she went and got ready.
Arson is intentional. So, and they were homemade bombs. So somebody went out there and lit the place. And they had trip wires.
It was like completely booby-trapped.
So somebody died?
Nobody died. They just blew up all the evidence.
Mm-hmm. Why was it booby-trapped then?
In case anybody got there before they blew it up, somebody would trip that wire, blow it up, and theirself up so that they wouldn't be able to see anything.
That's crazy. So there has to be somebody else. At least one person.
Oh, yeah, they have to have a boss. Yeah. The boss is still out here roaming around. We talked about that.
Yeah, he ain't getting caught.
Now, let's get into the background of these men. Phelps was born, this is what's going to blow your mind, January 13th, 1963 in Preston, Mo. Family still owns property there. Other than the cabin, that's where he was at the most. Norton, born March 31st, 1965, both attended Skyline High School in Urbana, Missouri. They became best friends. After high school, both joined the military. Both spent time at Fort Leonard Wood. Norton was from Hermitage and eventually switched over to Hermitage High School. When he graduated, he joined the Marines, doing some training time in Millington, Tennessee. Phelps stationed in North Carolina at that time. Both men moved around a lot. Norton known to have lived in Hermitage, DeSoto, Camdenton, Farmington, Park Hills, and Lebanon. Phelps mostly in Windyville or in Preston. Did spend time living in suburbs of St. Louis.
My best friend was in Preston.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was there all the time.
Yeah.
We were doing stupid ass shit.
So was he.
I went to both of those high schools. I've been in both of those high schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not at the same time as them, but they did go to high school, but they did go there.
That is...
And they lived there in the time where you were going around being dumb.
It's military.
Yep, they weren't in...
Military probably...
They weren't in jail at the time, so, like, you were... Possibly could have saw them at a gas station or something.
Walk by. Mm-hmm. Probably. Lucky it wasn't you.
Mm-hmm. It was military. The military fucked them all up.
Third man, Guy Jake, remember that's what we're calling him, known to be around Buffalo, Springfield, Leadwood, St. Genevieve, as far as Ashburn, Virginia, all the way down to Franklinton. Where the hell is that? And Pine, Louisiana. They're both in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Not counting any locations they had to drive through or when Norton was a trucker. Jake bought his property in 1995. He was in a long-term relationship with James Phelps' sister. Cassidy's remains found at the cabin.
James Phelps was one of the guys that did that stuff to Cassidy.
James Phelps was the main guy. He's the one that actually knew Cassidy. Coincidentally, owned by Bill Rainwater, Tracy's father, and Cassidy's grandfather.
Wait, what house was owned by them? I'm so sorry.
So, Jake had his property, and then he built the cabin that Phelps lived in right outside the property and the field that's right there. And then just diagonal, Cassidy's grandfather owned that property.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
The neighboring field was where Cassidy's bones were scattered, correct?
Uh-huh.
Which is Bill Rainwater's property, correct?
Her grandfather's property.
Mm-hmm.
Is her grandfather still alive? No?
I didn't see anything about the grandfather except the property. So I didn't see if he was connected. I didn't see his age, anything like that.
All of these men have known each other for decades. The property was bought in 1995. Norton, who is associated with all these people through Phelps, used the address 386 Moon Valley as his address in a bad check lawsuit in 1992. Phelps, Norton, and Jake are not the only three associated with this property either. A pretty long list of criminals have listed that address or used it at any point in time, including Eddie Freck. In 2021, received 24 years without parole for crimes against children. Not the only offender of this kind to list this address. Off topic, Norton's girlfriend at the time, at arrest, was 17.
Yeah.
Okay,
he was in his 50s. Norton is Timothy Norton, which was the truck driver who helped Phelps
with
Cassidy.
Okay.
He's the one that carried Cassidy back to the bathtub.
And he was the one that initially ratted them out. He was the one that talked first. He was the one that did the second interview and said where they found their victims and all the other stuff and about the girls' ages and all that.
Even though now the cops and all that are trying to say allegedly and blah, 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 even though Norton has himself said these words.
And those words were stated in a court document.
Mm-hmm. But this is all allegedly, apparently, and that's why we have to say allegedly.
Us to know.
Yeah. But 17 years old. That man was, what, almost 60? Oh, wait, hold on. He was born in 1965, I think is what that said.
19? He old.
Whoa. 1996, bitch. Who you calling old?
Well, that's close. Let's bump you up a couple.
Interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's this one. Norton was born March 31st, 1965. He is 60 years old now.
So in 21, he would have been like 55.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 55 years old dating a 17-year-old girl. That's your age. What?
I see your face, yo.
My grandpa. My great-grandpa.
Like, that's something.
What the fuck?
So anyway, I think it's safe to say there's an S-ring connection to a lot of this.
Which we can't say that, but... Yeah.
We cannot confirm nor deny there being a trafficking element inside of this ring.
But it is important to still remember that Cassidy was with them.
Springfield, Missouri is like the fourth most.
Oh yeah, it's because we're right by I-44. You can get out of here like that.
We're more than New York.
Mm-hmm.
We're more than California.
Oh yeah, Oklahoma.
And they have more population than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Springfield, Missouri especially.
Specific.
But that's not what happened to Cassidy. These men did not kidnap her. She went willingly into the cabin, somewhere she had been many times before.
And apparently her mother had too.
Mm-hmm. Cassidy at this time in her life was not in a good place, struggling with addiction and not in with the right crowds.
That's crazy. And like, doesn't she wonder about her mom? Like, does she know anything?
I mean, I think she knew a little bit about it, but what are you really going to do if everybody's just trying to cover it up? I mean, you can try to be as loud as you want to, but
she also had her struggles with addiction and stuff, so sometimes you don't care.
Oh, that's very, very possible, but...
Okay, so, going into this part, I'm gonna play a video, and it has some text messages through a couple different years between Phelps and Norton that were recovered and discovered. So this girl is gonna read them off, and we're just gonna listen. And
have run from April 2019 until about September of 2021. The first mention of Cassidy occurred on October 29th of 2019. And Phelps says, "I had a visitor last night," to which Norton replies, "Who? And is it dead?" That's a pretty revealing reply. But then Phelps said that Cassidy showed up. The next time her name comes up in these messages, it was August 6th of 2020. And Phelps tells Norton that she has been at the cabin for the last couple of days and that she's bringing out the Marcus in him. Assuming this is some kind of, his bad alter ego. It's something about she has the full assassin out. I guess Marcus is the assassin. At this point, in August of 2020, he's already saying that he's thinking about making her disappear. This was a full year before something actually happened. To which, after this, Norton replies, "No body, no crime." A few days later, I guess Cassidy was still staying there, because Phelps says to Norton, "Do you want to help me butcher Cass?" It almost seems like a joke, except it wasn't. That same evening, they had a second interaction about this same subject, and this basically goes on for a year. Cassidy pops up here and there, stays at the cabin for usually a night or so, sometimes a few more days. And almost every time, Phelps tells Norton, and there's some mention of killing her. Well, I don't know the motivation, just pure bloodlust or the cannibal thing. This relationship between these two did have a very strange dynamic, because while she was coming and going and they were secretly plotting to off her, Phelps was also going out of his way to help Cassidy sometimes.
Alright, and that's where we're going to stop, because we're going to talk about how he helped Cassidy.
Phelps would pick her up, take her places. At one point, he drove her all the way to Arkansas. James Phelps and Tim Norton were known users and distributors of certain substances, that of a stimulant kind, a homemade drug kind.
Which, if you're living under a rock, is meth. It was meth.
That's just meth.
So many times.
Phelps, also known for his passion for the whips and chains BDSM community, getting S-workers to fulfill that need, sometimes consensual, sometimes not.
So there has been some records of these S-workers coming out now, out of the word works, talking about how they were not so consensual. That was a nice catch.
No, that's crazy. Especially that they're coming out, like, now.
On the other side of S-Ring, human meat thing, they targeted people no one would miss, or they thought no one would miss. Runaway girls in homeless shelters, hitchhikers, and those with no family. There are even text messages between Phelps and Norton talking about candidates for experiments in Bolivar, Missouri. Text about going to get a 14-year-old girl from New Jersey. Another thing they were into was a cult. They did blood magic type rituals. It was known there was an altar in the cabin, and Phelps would often meditate in the woods where he said he'd receive visions.
No, I was
He's
not.
on meth.
Actually, no, I could not
see,
see like any. It didn't explain what visions he had, but
Not
Ones
real.
that said, "I'm gonna hang up a human and gut him like a fish and then eat him."
well, where were those
Imagine
visions
that
saying, "Homie, you about to get caught"?
And then he would have ran.
He's crazy.
No, there's so many cases all around that are rumored to be connected. We can do a part 3 or a Midwest, Southwest Missouri deep dive if you're interested.
All right, so I just want to discuss a little bit about these authorities all around us and how much they are covering everything up.
It's crazy.
And how, like, I bet some of them can't, like, I mean, they can say something, but, like, they got kids.
Right.
They got
And
their own families to worry about as
this
well.
whole S-ring and human meat cannibalism community, the Potosi cannibals, that's a whole nother deep dive that I can do. Like, there's... Girl. It's close. It's all of the... we'll get into it all.
It's
But around us still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's just crazy to me how much you can find, but you can't find. And how much people aren't talking about it. Because they don't want to be silenced. They don't want to be threatened. They don't want their family to be threatened. But, like, at the same time, guys, come on. What the fuck is going on around here?
Everybody just turns a blind eye. They don't give a fuck if it doesn't affect them until one of their relatives are on the human meat market, I guess.
And
Right.
Like, though, I mean, I don't know how much family Cassidy has, though, like...
2 kids, I know for a fact.
But she was going down the rough path, so I bet.
No, I don't really know where her kids are. I couldn't find anything really on her kids.
Me
Or
either,
the baby
just
dad.
that there was... His kid... words. Her kid was with her one time at the cabin because in some of the messages that they found, it talked about getting rid of her and the boy. But that's all I could find. Sorry, I'm trying to look through these and make sure that we got all of it because there was one page. Did we read about her cousins? Yeah, there's a couple pages missing. Hold on, let me find it real quick.
So, completely forgot to mention about Cassidy's cousins. 2 years after Cassidy, May of 23, Cassidy's cousin, Lacey Rich, was killed when she allegedly jumped out of a moving semi at 3 a.m. on Highway 54, just outside of Wablo, Missouri.
What the fuck? His name is a truck driver. I don't remember his name right now. But he was a truck driver.
Timothy Norton.
Not the main guy.
Timothy Norton was a truck driver. But that could be a good key thing to click in there. Was that him? Because I don't really know.
It could not be, but
it's also crazy that it's why was she jumping out of a semi? What was going on? Because I don't believe a rightfully sounded mind human would jump out
of a moving vehicle.
At 3 o'clock in the morning.
There had to be something.
Or at least not jump when there was a semi unless they were suicidal. Anywho.
In a semi?
When she jumped, she was struck by the wheels of the trailer and then hit by another car. Pronounced dead on scene.
I would have felt so bad if I was the other person.
The man driving that semi was a 52-year-old trucker from Urbana who apparently also has some crime against children charges.
Wait.
So it wasn't Timothy Norton.
Okay.
But it was almost around the same age, from the same little town.
Has the same child criminal charges.
Has the same child criminal charges. Urbana. Mm-hmm. The 52-year-old trucker was from Urbana.
Yep.
Who had child sex crimes. What?
Did he get arrested or something? Or
I didn't see it. I didn't deep dive
probably
that far
not.
into it.
To be fair though, I don't know if it'd really take much deep diving into that because probably not. He didn't ask for that girl to jump out of the moving vehicle at 3 o'clock in the morning.
But at the same time, did she jump?
That's he said, she said at that point. Even the cops can't prove that.
Unless there's
so that's just something that is just makes you
video
or she got hit in the head or something with something hard or something
to make her fall out.
You would know.
Right.
But you would know at that point. And I would assume you would know if she was pushed or anything because you'd have to push somebody out. She'd probably be fighting for her life if you were trying to push her out.
Semi is wide.
Yeah, it missed the front, so it missed the actual.
So she had to, dive out the bitch.
Yeah, and then she got hit by the trailer.
And he would also have to open the door.
Yeah, that'd be a lot for somebody to purposely push her out.
She was like, "I'd rather die than."
And maybe she misjudged.
Or the S-ring.
Cars always look like they're going. I don't know.
That's
maybe
fair.
she just misjudged it.
Or
maybe she was just done with it and said, you know what?
Because the mom.
Take me.
Or maybe she was kidnapped and she said, fuck this.
Yeah.
She's like, I'd rather.
I ain't about to do what my cousin went through and my auntie went through.
Right. And what was it in that semi?
Yeah. Nobody knows.
Was it
Nobody knows. Cassidy's other cousin, Jason Campbell, in 2017, was served papers by the sheriff, who was the last person to see him after being reported missing. His remains were later found on his property, which happened to be very close to the cabin. The official story let out was he had hogs. They somehow got out and allegedly ate him. That's the story they went with. Which hogs will eat human. They don't. That's how some people disappear bodies. Pigs, hogs, they're nasty ass creatures.
Right, so with that one, was the cousin in with everything else and had hogs, and then someone found out that he was talking to the sheriff, and then they boom, bada bing, bada boom, or was something going on?
Or did the sheriff let the hogs out?
Right. Because
if the guy wasn't used to his hogs being out and he was out with his back turned and the hog done came up behind him, what's the guy's ass? Hogs are mean.
But the guy that was checking the field, he was
That was Jake. He's an apparent associate
But all of this is so close together. Everybody basically lives right there.
And for us three, we very well know that in those small towns like that, everybody know everybody and everybody know everybody's business.
Mm-hmm. You go to the gas station.
And if you know the wrong business,
you know the wrong business.
Mm-hmm. And if somebody finds out you know that wrong business.
But allegedly, we couldn't have come up with a better story. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. People like us and the people that are listening gotta have better. Like, they gotta be thinking the same thing. Allegedly ate him. Like, come on.
That part, but the people that live there are kind of smart. No evidence.
Yeah. Other than his teeth. Yeah. I mean, there probably some bones. Yeah. The probably didn't eat all of them. But it was probably a very fucked up image, though. They probably needed some therapy.
Facts.
Just like they said they needed their intensive therapy after Cassidy Rainwater, after going and seeing all that. That everybody there, the EMTs, the police,
I bet when they were
fire, they all needed intensive therapy. And that was said by multiple EMTs and police officers, and they said that was the worst thing that, ever.
Never thought they were going to see before.
There was another cabin, close proximity, where in July of 2010, an elderly couple, 82-year-old Johnny Wilson and 76-year-old Colleen Wilson, were unalived in their home in Bennett Springs.
North of Bennett Springs,
okay. Shortly after, fall of 2020, the body of 33-year-old Nathan Andrew Young was found in a creek bed just off Kinfolk Road. His head, feet, and hands were removed.
Which, can't find the other page, but was only miles away from the cabin.
They found his head, his hands, and his feet.
Oh, and took the rest?
And they took his torso.
Yeah. Okay, so they took what they needed
and just left the rest at the river.
Man, that's crazy, because I've been looking and I don't think a human brain goes for quite a bit on the black market, so you'd think they'd take the head. I mean, shit.
But also that's more a way to identify.
That's fair.
If you think about it, they cut off their fingerprints, they cut off their toe prints, they cut off their teeth, because their head. Like, they cut off pretty much everything you need to identify the body, and just took the rest.
And except then they're gonna like a fish, so.
Right, and then they mix it up with animal remains, so that you can't identify what's left. It's fucking nuts. But there are so many other stories that I could have put out, but we're already almost to an hour, so we're gonna cut this one short. But, well, not short, I guess, but cut the rest of the cases, because it is a rabbit hole that we could go down for hours. And so that's why I put in there, like, if anybody wants us to do a part 3 or a Midwest, Southwest Missouri deep dive, like,
Urbana.
For real, we can most definitely
of shit
do
is
that.
Taking place in Urbana.
Because there's so much more to say.
But you can't tell me that shit ain't still going on out there.
Right.
No, because when I went to school out there, that was the hugest rumor that was going around. That cannibals in the woods. That was like...
There is. The hills have eyes.
Literally.
That was the hugest thing when I was at the school I went to, like...
Which is crazy, because that
rumor was not a rumor.
It's not a rumor.
That's crazy to think about, though.
Yeah.
Like, I was in middle school, I was just like, it's lying.
Right, like, I'm about to send in our podcast and be like, I need you to listen to both of these 2 episodes. If you don't listen to nothing else, that's fine. But these 2, I need you to listen to.
Yeah, I talked to Jessie about it, and she was like, yeah. Like, they talked about it all in high school. Like, it was a huge thing. And I was like...
Super crazy.
I serious? Like, cannibals?
Yeah, for real.
And then it just blows your mind when people aren't as shocked as you, because it's like, motherfucker, you knew about cannibals and you didn't want to say nothing to me.
You didn't want to tell me.
Like,
I was walking through these woods and you didn't want to tell me nothing.
Like, if Nana knows,
bitch, what?
You told me to just go down to the creek, have fun, and there's cannibals in the woods?
And you knew? Was you giving me as a human sacrifice?
Or, yeah, I think we were talking about it last time, but the wave, the country wave?
Yeah.
Is that you don't look good, or is that I'm going to
okay.
remember your car?
Right. For
or
real.
if you don't wave.
Oh, yeah. If
They
you
gonna
don't wave,
remember.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Alright, like I said, we're almost to an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and get us out of here. Thank you all for tuning in to part 2 of the Cassidy Rainwater Deep Dive. Episode number 12, I believe. Don't come for me if that's the wrong one. Of the Off-Topic podcast. If you have any information regarding these cases or any alleged rumors that you would like to tell us, go ahead and send them in. We would love to hear them. Email them to gossipgirls.offtopic@gmail.com. Comment them onto whatever platform you're listening to, or go to our socials, which I will link below. But don't forget to hit the follow button, hit the like button, join our off-topic community, bring in more to join with us, and share the fun. That is all we have for this week, so we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.